Oh my goodness, another day in LA, Anthony. Who we got with you there?
It's Anthony, Sarah, and Glenn.
Yeah, baby.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Oh, Howard, do you have your phone? All right, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live, coming at you live today from the Intercontinental Hotel Los Angeles downtown. I want to thank them so much for giving us this amazing terrace space in order to bring it to you and also allowing us to skirt those indoor mask regulations. Anthony Melchiori, Sarah Denshi, great to see you guys.
How are you?
It's good to be here.
Who invited you?
The guy downstairs.
Oh.
I just work my way up. Is that what you do?
It's so interesting. When I knew you were going to be on, I was just like, you're such a positive light in our industry, and you do such a great job, and I give you too many compliments. But you, like, it's always a pleasant seat, so welcome.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to hear all this wonderful
Yeah, there's some things that are happening. It's good to be here, and it's good to meet you. For the first
I
time.
know. I can't believe it. It's the craziest thing because we've spent so much time on the air with each other by this point. And just so you guys know, they're right over there. So I'm not looking at the camera. I'm looking at them over there. I can't help it because Anthony's just so sexy looking today. I can't keep my eyes off him. All right. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about the news, but we got Adam Burke, the president and CEO from LA Tourism, who's going to be joining us here for a moment. And I got to tell you, this is the most ridiculous thing ever. You guys saw our show from a couple of months back where he had the audacity to claim that their bagels were better than New York bagels. Well, he's trying to put his money where his mouth is. We're going to have a bagel taste off as well as learn what's going on about LA tourism right now.
Money where his mouth is. So how much money is
well, now it's gambling. Now
yeah, that's a good question.
Said it, not me.
All right, everybody. Let's just calm down. I know we're excited to sling some dirt about these bagels and stuff like that. I'm already skeptical. Have you seen? This looks like a dinner roll, not a bagel to me. But we'll see. We'll see what he has to say. He's coming over here in just a second, so he'll be jumping on online with us. I did not. I did. What, you want to repeat yourself?
No, he sure doesn't.
All right. I guess I'll be watching a replay of this show just a little bit. Adam, just jump right on in. Great to see you, man. In person.
I know.
Pleasure to meet you. All right. So coming on to the show right now. Boom. Adam Burke, President and CEO of LA Tourism. Of course, the second you sit down, now the sun is coming off over your thing. All right. You know what? The internet cable, I think, is a little loose. Why don't you guys, Anthony, you talk. Let me fix that real quick.
Okay, so welcome, Adam.
Thank
you.
Good
But
to see you.
what is this bullshit about LA bagels?
I knew we were going to start there, right?
Obviously.
Yeah. So I got to say, in fairness, we all know that the best thing about a good bagel is it's got to be fresh, right? So we can't really do a true taste test. What we've got to do is we'll do the LA taste test today.
That's right.
And we'll have to do a live feed from New York next time I'm out there. It's not really fair.
I agree. Anthony, I know we talked about this. I wanted to bring bagels with me, but you would have had a 2-day lead time on it.
Do you really think I need to go taste the New York bagel to see if it's better than this?
No. The whole point is to see how much he's going to continue to fool himself.
If I grew up in Brooklyn, there's 2 things you need to know.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, now let
I
me.
have olive oil in my veins and I have bagels in my blood.
The bagels in your blood.
Yeah.
I can see someone about that. So I will say, first of all, it wasn't us saying it, guys.
I know.
It was this small publication you may have heard of called the New York Times.
Right.
And they do say all the news fits fit to print. So obviously, if they thought that LA bagels were fit to print, you got to take that up with their editorial.
All right, so let's try to get these bagels and let's just do this and get
All right,
started.
so
we can
let's-
talk to.
All right, if I could get everybody to get into the microphones just a little bit more,
Absolutely.
that would be, I'd appreciate that. People are saying it sounds just a wee bit too low.
Okay.
I can't imagine anyone telling Glenn or Anthony that they need to talk louder.
Well, nobody's complaining about my my audio.
Well, and I'll tell you. So what you're eating here, these are from Pop's Bagels, and the thing you have to understand, stick with me here. So there are a lot of these wonderful bagel shops that sprung up all over LA, which is what led the New York Times to write about it. This is Pop's Bagels. They are what you call, you've heard of small batch distilleries. This is a small batch bagel.
Right.
So they do small batches of 6 at a time. So they can quality control, so it comes out hot and fresh. They make everything in-house, including the schmear that you're going to have. They hand do all of their spreads, their butter. So this is from Pops, which is one of many LA favorites. But Anthony, I sense there may be a little bit of bias here going in, but I'm just asking. Keep your taste buds neutral.
Listen, with everything that's going on with small businesses getting in trouble, if this bagel is the worst bagel I've ever tasted, I'm not going to tell you that because I don't want to hurt another small business.
This is true.
So I am not going to be rude. I will tell you if it's like really, really good or it's good.
All right.
All
Well,
right. Oh, God.
Fair enough. All right, here we go.
If it's really
Wait, are we
terrible,
trying-
I'll tell
which
you
one
that.
which one are we trying? I don't
You
want
gotta
to.
start without anything on it.
Yeah, plain.
All right.
Plain, plain.
So they got 3, right?
Yeah.
You focus on doing 1 or 2 things really, really well. So they only do a plain bagel, everything bagel, and cinnamon raisin.
Okay.
This is Pops. So we'll start with just the plain bagel with nothing on.
This tastes like cinnamon for a plain bagel.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got the
I
cinnamon
made
ones.
note of that.
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good.
That's a little chewy.
Isn't that what it should be?
It needs to have
You say it's a
that
little-
nice little bite when you
Yeah,
go in.
it does.
It's a little chewy.
Yeah. No, I know I'm a little Jewy, but that's okay.
I can't say that. I know that's what you said. It's just a little chewy.
I thought it was a Star Wars reference.
You know what's
A little
interesting?
chewy.
I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
I don't think anybody needs to hear that noise ever again.
Well, that's my mating call.
No.
How do you think I attracted my wife?
That was-
Either that or I actually think I see Bigfoot coming from right over there.
Right. Hey, Adam, could you get close to that microphone? Just pull the microphone up
You got it.
up to you. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Try it when you're in. Be like this. Don't
Yeah.
You have to get really close.
Yeah,
I will be close. I'm like you, Glenn. No one ever tells me I'm not talking loud enough. So.
I appreciate that.
So let me tell you about the bagel. The bagel, at first, you're right, it is true, but it's tasty. I'll be honest with you, it's like an aftertaste.
Right.
An aftertaste.
Mhm.
It's tasty.
Yeah.
So
It is good.
All right.
It's not a New York bagel.
It is not a New York bagel, but it is
All right.
definitely a bagel. So I'm going to try the plain schmear. And if you guys are unfamiliar with your bagel verbiage, we like to use the word schmear when you put on the.
That is the technical
right?
term.
Mm.
So I think you're trying the everything bagel with the. I think this is a buttermilk schmear.
It's not bad.
What is,
Bagel.
what is this? Did you try that little one?
No, yes, definitely.
Mhm.
They're all pretty good.
This is plain cream cheese.
I think we're now.
This is a plain cream cheese. A little bit of chive.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
The everything with the jive is really good.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm not
you.
in everything bagel now, but it's pretty good.
No. I'm not.
I'm with you. I tend to be more of a purist. Either plain. For me, it's got to have plain
This is a good
capers,
combo.
onions, lox, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll give you, well, Pops, thank you. You work hard, and you have good bagels. I can't say it's better than yours. I could get, I would have to go to Canada or something.
You'd
And
have
apparently, you go to Canada, you can't come back in. So.
Right.
You can't go after August 9th, so you're good.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't let you back in the state if you renounce New York bagels. So let's be. But the good thing is,
This was
my,
good.
my view is
That
there's no
was good.
such thing as a bad bagel. All bagels are bagels. But
This
yeah,
is true.
I'm a fan of Pops.
Anthony,
Yep.
you're just going to town on that bagel
No,
over
this
here.
one's good. I'm sorry that you.
All right, guys. Sorry, I finally fixed the sound. My apologies. It was a little bit low, but now I got it working just
Sorry
right.
to chew people think-
No, I really enjoyed this bagel. The everything bagel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I did too.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, that's a good bagel.
Yeah.
I would put that up against some New York bagels. I would.
Would you?
That's
Like Einstein bagels, the fake bagels? I got to tell you, Adam, the cream cheese with scallion. Now
Yeah.
that is on.
that's a good
point.
combo.
Oh, sorry, Anthony told me to wipe my face. This,
We're having the
Now you got me worried.
messiest like food tasting.
I know. Yeah, watch us next week when we eat like spaghetti on air.
Okay, I want to join for that one.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so for those of you who are a little worried about the quality of the sound, obviously we got that fixed right now. What we've been doing right now is establishing that Adam's bagels are not as bad as we thought. They're actually pretty darn good. So congratulations to you on that. I am going to take umbrage with that New York Times article, though, no matter what. He can't stop eating.
Listen, I got it. You got to represent, right? I mean, they
Uh-huh.
won't let you back in the state if you say anything else.
I'll do
But
one more bite.
I'll just put in another plug. Pops Bagels, Culver City.
Yep.
Got to visit it when you're here.
So, Adam, so the funniest thing is, strangest thing about LA, you got stuck in traffic or something like that coming up here?
Oh, that never happened. No, it was I actually live a little bit further away and did not allow enough time. That was on me, not on LA traffic.
Yeah.
You wanna take these off?
Oh my God. Now I've got cream cheese all over my wires over here.
Okay.
All right. So we got plenty of things to talk about with what's going on in LA tourism. And I know, Sarah, you got some industry news that's going on. But before we get to anything that Sarah has to say, and Adam, of course, we want you to stay here the whole time and participate in absolutely all of the news stories. But what's going on since we spoke last time in May when it comes to LA tourism? Because the last couple of weeks have really thrown everybody a curveball, and that must cause some stress. I know we're at the Alice conference. The organizers handled it great, but it's definitely created a feeling of we've gone a couple of steps back, which is not a good feeling.
Yeah, so I guess I have a slightly different take on it, which is Barbara Ferrer, who is the county health officer for LA County. They've done a phenomenal job of getting in front of this. You probably know that coming out of the surge that we saw across the country in December, LA actually gotten to the point where California and LA specifically had some of the lowest case counts and positivity rates in the country. When we started to see the Delta variant increase literally nationally, I don't think there's any place in the country where we're not seeing that. What county health did is they decided to try and take the proactive step of requiring masking indoors. And I actually think that's very responsible for a couple of reasons. One is, I saw some things written that said, well, if LA is requiring masking indoors, things must be really bad in LA. It wasn't the case at all. What our county health officer has really been focusing on is trying to balance health and safety with keeping our economy open.
Right.
And thankfully, we're in a very different place than we were a year ago. So number one, we know that we have highly effective vaccines, and LA's vaccination rate is actually above the national average.
Oh, yeah?
But beyond that, right now we have 69% of all Angelenos have at least one jab.
That's terrific.
And 61% are fully vaccinated. So that's one thing. The second thing is we know masks are an incredibly effective mitigation measure to protect those who are still unvaccinated. And let's not forget, I mean, they may be testing it now, but no one under the age of 12 is eligible to receive a vaccine currently. So the logic from public health was not our numbers are worse than anyone else's. They were, if we implement the simple step of masking indoors, then we'll do two things. Number one, we will protect the roughly 3 in 4 Angelenos who are not yet vulnerable, who are not yet vaccinated, including children. But equally important, we'll be able to keep our economy open and we'll keep the recovery going. I think that's the key here is health and safety is how we can make sure we keep our businesses open. And that's why they took the proactive step. And I think you're right. The Alice organizers have done a phenomenal job of handling that, really taking it in stride. And to be clear, if you're at a conference and you're presenting, you can take your mask off while you're presenting.
Right.
If you're eating, you can take your mask off while you're eating. But we know it's effective and it was done proactively.
Well, we were outside last night having cocktails, and there were a lot of people, and we were kind of like this on top of each other. Everybody was comfortable. So you explained it perfectly. And I was a little, I don't know if I felt the same way 5 minutes ago, but once you said that, it makes sense. What's happening in New York is most government offices, or all government offices now, if you work for the city of New York, you have to have a vaccine, or you can't come to work.
Right.
Do you see that happening here?
I won't predict. What I will say is I think the effort has always been trying to do an either or instead of a both and. So, everything we saw prior to June 15th when LA fully reopened was that we were looking at vaccine or negative COVID test. And that's still the case for events. Right now, you can have an event of any size in Los Angeles, but if you have an event of more than 5,000 people indoors, then the event organizer is required to get either proof of full vaccination or a negative COVID test. And I think that's the right kind of middle position to take, because there are some people who either have underlying medical conditions where they're concerned about getting vaccinated. There are some legitimate reasons why we can't get 100% of people vaccinated.
But not to put you on the spot. But when we were all kids, right?
Yep.
When you were a kid going to 4th grade, you couldn't go to school unless you had all your vaccines.
Still can't.
What's the
Still
difference?
can't.
So what's the difference?
Politics?
Let me put it this way. I think the answer is we have to remember this is all being done under an emergency use authorization.
Yeah.
That's probably the single biggest difference.
But it just came out that you can have people vaccinated, and that doesn't negate, any emergency vaccine. Like even though it's emergency vaccine, you can
demand that people get vaccinated if they work for the government or if they work in private enterprise. That just came out yesterday.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I think, the more people we get vaccinated, the better off we'll all be. We know it is our most effective defense. And the thing that I really appreciate is the fact that so far, the vaccines have proven highly effective even against the Delta variant. So from that perspective, Anthony, totally agree with you. The more people we can get vaccinated, the better. But the issue is going to be there are some people who, right now, if you're under 12, there is no vaccine available. They just started testing.
And I understand that's why everybody went to a mask.
Yep.
That makes sense. So I completely understand. Yep. And if I was in that situation, I'd probably do the same thing. I just don't like the fact that businesses are starting to get impacted again because of some people's decision. If you do not want to get vaccinated, then you should put your mask on or not come to the event because you're affecting everyone else. And it's your right. If you don't want to get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated. But then you can't go and then potentially, get other people sick. Then they carry it home. Like you said, I'm a carrier, even if I'm vaccinated. And I bring it home to my 10-year-old kid, which I don't have. But if I did.
Well, not that you know of.
I don't think I have any. Glenn, on the other hand. Glenn, are you with us, Glenn?
I am with you. I was just waiting for a chance to be able to speak, and I will say that
Glenn, you can speak now.
Thank you. I appreciate the
Thank
permission.
Join the conversation.
It's really tough. I do feel like because I'm separated a little bit from you guys, I kind of feel like Robin in the newsroom, separated from Howard and the gang. But I will say this. What this mask mandate did is it made the conference organizers have to think differently. It made me and our team here have to think differently instead of being inside or outside in a patio. And what was really cool about the party last night, guys, was instead of it just being a regular event with conference food, they brought in all these local food trucks, which to me really tethered the experience to the location. And the food was freaking phenomenal.
Was that going to be the plan to begin with, or is that?
I don't think it was.
It actually was.
It was. What a great idea then.
Yeah. To your point, Anthony, and I think this is to kind of close the loop on vaccinations. The reason I mentioned the emergency use authorization is a lot of the traditional vaccines that are required for kids to get admittance to school. These are things that have been around a long, long time. And I have to give tremendous credit to the scientists who in less than a year developed highly effective vaccines against COVID. I think the issue is unless and until we can get 100% of the population vaccinated, which probably will never happen, the best thing we can do for our community is mask up indoors as long as the Delta variant is still an issue. That's why the focus here at the Yalis event was always to have these food trucks because you can create a great outdoor environment where you don't have to be masked and we can really feature our local culinary community. That's one of the things LA is known for is our food truck scene. So that was always part of the plan.
Okay, good. And as great as the food is here at this hotel or at the Marriott JW, it's never as good as a food truck because it's just the experience.
It's just not.
It is very.
And by the way, quick movie recommendation. If y'all out there haven't seen the movie Chef, I highly recommend you seeing that.
It is a really
John Favreau started.
Have you seen it?
It's
so good.
It's freaking
So good.
great. It's all about him getting in touch with himself and his son, and the food truck kind of concept is the center of it. It's a really good movie.
But do not see that movie on an empty stomach.
Good point.
You will be very hungry.
I haven't seen it. I haven't even heard about it.
Yeah,
several years ago.
Yeah, it's on
really?
it's on
Several
Netflix.
years ago.
Yeah. All right. So, Adam, one of the other things that you guys are doing is you have created a new logo that's out there, and I'm going to try to do something
Is it?
unexpected. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to bring up that.
Is
logo.
this going to be like the bagel? If I don't like it, I have to make believe I do.
No.
No.
I gotta tell you that everything bagel was off the hook.
That was really good.
Yeah.
That was
All
a
right,
good combination.
For some reason,
All
when
right,
I
now that's the
downloaded it,
soundbite
I
right
can't
there. That everything
figure it
bagel was off the hook. We're going to use that.
All right, you can.
So I'm going to bring up the new logo by having to share my screen. I'm sorry, guys.
Go
my
for it.
apology.
And just so you know, thank you for bringing it up that the Chef's movie was like years ago. It's a show like I'm not.
Oh, that
Cool.
you're
I'm not
that
cool.
far behind?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're several years behind.
Oh, that's a good. That's
Oh.
Just remember, Anthony, remember the term molten.
molten.
You'll know that scene when you see it. Remember molten
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
word in front of it.
Yeah, you got to watch it.
Is it like the season 3, 1450, and season 3 of that thing on?
Yeah, that
Netflix?
show with those people.
What's it called? No, you didn't see that on TikTok?
I don't know what you're talking. I don't watch
Okay,
TikTok.
all right.
Yeah,
I told you.
You are
I
heavily
like
into
American
TikTok.
companies to spy on me, not Chinese companies.
So I'm innocently looking at TikTok,
Oh,
and
innocently.
it said go to I don't remember the name of it, something sex. Go to episode
Life sex? Sex
Sex
Life?
and the City?
Sex Life. Sex Life.
Okay.
Go to episode 3 and go to 14 minutes and 50 seconds.
Okay.
Just make sure when you do that, your children aren't around.
Okay. Good.
And then videotape yourself
Perfect.
watching it.
All right. Yes, I think you did tell me about
You
that.
know what? I'll tell you, Anthony. We had a similar experience. So my wife and daughter, who is 16, they love watching these period pieces, and they started watching Bridgerton because they had been. Oh, you got to watch Bridgerton.
Yeah, I could talk to you about Bridgerton.
I don't know what
Exactly.
that is.
So,
Yeah,
episode
it's okay.
1, 2, and 3, fairly tame, no problem
100%.
watching with a 16-year-old. You hit epised 4,
Yes.
and I made the
completely
mistake
different.
of being in the room, and all I can say is if you haven't seen it, they must save a fortune on wardrobe
Yeah.
because it was not getting used. So I made exit stage right as quickly as
I hear
could.
you. I am trying to avoid the mistake my parents made. They took me and a friend when I was 12 years old. I guess it was 1982 or 3 to go see Risky Business.
Okay.
Right? Not sure why my parents took me to a movie about prostitution and stuff like that, but
But hey.
a little awkward for everybody.
Hey,
in
You know,
there.
Guido the Killer Pimp.
Yeah,
At
hey,
6
Guido.
years old, at 6 years old, my grandmother took me to see Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh my goodness.
That was like, that literally affected me. Like, I was just
No.
like, that's just like, what is this?
It was like that and Beastmaster were the only 2 movies on HBO for like a year.
Well, now, in fairness, I mean, Disney movies, if you think about it, are probably some of the most violent movies on the planet because
Right.
True.
in almost every Disney movie, at least one parent's dead.
Or look
Yeah.
at Bugs Bunny
Yeah.
or the Roadrunner. He gets
Yeah.
killed and comes back to life. What happened to the logo?
Yeah,
we started talking about other stuff. It was
we were
weird to have us.
segueing.
Yeah, I got to bring it back.
So we got to bring the logo back.
So, Adam, tell us about this logo.
All right. So I will tell you, the expression, I'd rather be lucky than smart. Sometimes it helps to be both. And I'd like to think we've been both on this. So it's been about really 20 years since we did a complete brand overhaul. And one of the things we were looking for was to really try and capture something that reflected how consumers really view LA.
Mhm.
And, certainly you can talk about our culinary scene, arts and culture, sports and entertainment. But
And
whenever
we
we
will.
do focus groups around the world, what we hear is that people love coming to LA is because it's really a mindset. It's really about this idea of you can be here who you want to be. And the things we keep hearing is it's about personal exploration and really kind of the spontaneous, unscripted moments that you can discover here. So what we wanted is a logo that could reflect the main things we heard from the focus group. So the words you kept hearing over and over were things like, number one, LA's inclusiveness. We're one of the most diverse communities on the planet. We speak over 240 different languages here, and that really informs everything we do. And that's what makes it so attractive to visitors around the world. We hear words like optimism, that, no matter how bad things get, and I think the past year has been testament to that, we're always looking forward and we believe things are going to get better. Things like imagination, and one of my favorite, audaciousness. There's a certain boldness to the experimentation that's always happening in LA. And I think the best way of summarizing it is that LA and Angelenos are constantly evolving and ever changing. So it's kind of this continuing experiment that's never going to be done. So we actually issued an RFP we have such a terrific local creative community. And because LA Tourism is a nonprofit organization, we made it clear we don't have a lot of money to spend on this, but we're trying to get a logo that can capture everything I just described. And we were very lucky because Shepard Fairey, who is one of the most renowned artists,
Amazing.
his agency,
Yeah.
Studio Number One, was one of the agencies that responded. And unbeknownst to him at the time, there's another agency, House Industries. If you see any fonts out there that have the word house in them,
Right.
they're developed by House Industries. They're one of the leading font foundries and typographical agencies in the world, led by Andy Cruz. So it turns out Andy and Shepard are friends. They're really tight, and they've always wanted to collaborate.
Weren't they
on
characters
something.
on Dawson's Creek or something?
Oh, yeah, very much so. How do you know Dawson's Creek?
I didn't watch it, but I don't want to distract you.
I think he's got a James
Keep going.
Vanderbeek
I
thing.
actually have an explanation for that, but I don't want to cut you
Yeah.
off. Finish your
How's
story.
General Hospital these days, Glenn?
Look, I hope Luke and Laura are still doing well.
Oh God.
They better be. I'll be crushed if they're not.
Didn't they get married or something?
Yeah, it's 1983.
Yeah. That's before some of our viewers were born. Although this is Alice, so I think the age skews a little bit
Right.
more our age range.
So please, Adam, continue, and then I'll tell you why I know James Van.
There you go.
And then let me know who shot JR. Go ahead.
God.
Wasn't it like I forgot her name?
It don't matter.
Dang it.
Yes,
Anyway,
it
sorry,
was.
Adam.
So Andy and Shepard had always wanted to collaborate, and they came back to us and they said, "Look, number one, we get it. You're a nonprofit. we're not doing this for the money. We would love to collaborate because we think developing an iconic logo for LA is a way we can give back to our community. And, you know, you couldn't ask for a better combination. They've been looking for an opportunity to collaborate. So they really leaned into this idea of a really bold logo that would be incredibly inclusive and represent all the things that were really LA. And I love the way Shepard Fairey put it. He said, number one, you can kind of project yourself onto this logo, because he and Andy drew their inspiration from things like LA's car culture, street art.
I feel that.
The vintage Hollywood signs.
Oh, cool.
Certainly our magic hour and sunsets. So you can see all of those colors in this incredibly vibrant logo. And the other thing is, you know, we're still really data driven about this. I mean, I think anytime you talk about a logo, it's going to have its proponents and detractors. So we try and be data driven. So we tested it extensively in our key markets around the world. We tested it at every step. So we tested the typography, we tested the color palette, we tested the iconography.
Jeez.
And by a 3-to-1 margin, this logo was the winner in every market. And I think the thing that's most important, we really for a long time have wanted to act as one destination and one brand, even though we speak to different audiences, right? We have our leisure customer, our group customers, our members. We wanted to unify it all under one brand. So the logo you see here was also tested with both consumers as well as event planners and our group customers. And it tested equally well with both leisure and group.
Wow.
So this new logo could not have turned out better. And we think it really represents that bold, audacious, imaginative spirit that really is LA.
Oh, I have chills.
I know. Who knew?
I love that story.
Who
That's
knew
such a
so
great
much
story.
goes into a logo, right, guys?
Oh, it does.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
a lot.
But I
goodness.
love
Yeah, a
that
lot.
fact that you tested it, knowing people would be critical of it. If you can go back and put it back up.
Yes,
for a
I
second,
can.
want to talk
Boom.
about it. But first of all, you're a great representation of your community, because I love the way you speak about it, whether it be the mask or whether it be the logo. I mean, you're very thorough and you're very knowledgeable, obviously. I will tell you my feeling about the logo. My feeling is it's familiar.
Yeah.
It looks like
that
what I
version.
remember. It looks old school, but
Yeah.
somehow it's kind of
It does
new
feel
school.
retro.
I love to me, the entire thing comes down to the G. There is something about the loop in the G that looks different, but kind of very, almost like I did it. And it's like something that how I would write my G. It just looked very, again, different, but very familiar. So very interesting. It's a very, I would have thought that you would have went to something a little bit more today and a little bit more contemporary, but I love the fact that it's a throwback, and I love the fact that it looks different. And again, it looks familiar, and I think that's really, really important.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, where is all the merchandise? Because I'm going to be wearing the shirts, the hats,
It's coming.
everything. I am going to represent Los Angeles
No, I love it.
everywhere
I
I go.
absolutely love it.
For
I
sure.
think if it went to contemporary and went to 2021, I think that would have been a mistake.
It
I love the
kind of-
fact.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It kind of reminds me of the shirts that my mother would get when we would come visit Venice Beach way
Yeah,
back in
right.
the day. With the, but I like that. Again, what you were saying, this like familiarity, like to me, it's so familiar.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, good job.
I like the way you
Good
described it,
job.
Anthony. No, listen, we have an amazing cross-functional branding committee internally. We basically decided we want to get everyone together who has a stake in this. So it wasn't just, our marketing group. Within marketing, it was international tourism. It was our membership group, Dine LA. We wanted something that worked for everybody.
Right.
They did all the heavy lifting on this. So I give that branding committee and Andy Cruz and Shepard Fairey and their agencies, they deserve all the props.
How long
in the
did it
world.
take to go from, hey, we want a logo, to here's the logo?
That's the amazing thing. They got this done in about 120 days, start to finish, including the
Wow.
testing. And to your point,
Wow.
Anthony, one of the questions we ask in the surveying is this a logo you would expect to see from Los Angeles? And it goes to what you said. People felt like it was comfortable. They could easily just see this fitting LA. And they actually liked it harkening back to things like, vintage car culture or, surf culture. So it's at once forward looking because of the vibrancy, but it is also a little bit of a throwback.
And it's not too far away from the Dodgers logo. Like, right, so like it like, to me, when I saw it, it's like it's far enough away where I don't think of the Dodgers, but it's also, again, I think that's the familiar that I feel like that's what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
You're exactly right. I mean, one of the things that was the assignment for the agencies was take a look at all of the other major LA logos, because we don't want something that feels derivative. We want something that's new, but at the same time feels comfortable. And that's exactly what I think they did.
So Anthony was just mentioning the Dodgers and the logo, and sports seems to be really coming back to this city. You got a brand new football stadium. You got the Olympics coming. You got the Super Bowl that's going to be coming up here.
Yep.
Yeah.
How's it feel to have all of that going on right now?
Oh, it's amazing. And I have to say, watching the Olympics, over the last week or so, I think it's gotten everyone really amped up in terms of we're only 7 years away from hosting the games here again.
Only.
So, that time's going to go.
7 years
I
is
know.
not that long.
I know they just gave an Olympics to a country that's in like 2031 or something
Yeah.
like that, right?
Which feels so far
I
away.
know, but
but it'll
it's
be
not.
here.
Well, you
Yeah.
know what it is? It comes down to you have to potentially have an Olympic tax for the community because you have to build all these structures. There's got to be approvals. There's got to be construction. I mean, a lot goes in. You got to make cardboard beds for all your athletes.
That takes years right
Well,
there. But
Although I'll
Adam,
tell you, Anthony, this is the beauty of it, because you're right. I mean, my view of Olympics is if you've got to invest a lot to build new infrastructure for an Olympics, that's a very challenging business
but
model.
you're not, right?
But we're not. I think that's one of the reasons why LA was selected is we already have all of the infrastructure in place. So we don't have to build anything new. In fact, we've already hosted 2 Olympic Games, and I believe we're one of the only cities to successfully turn a profit twice.
Right.
To the point where the LA 84 Foundation is a nonprofit that to this day is still supporting youth sports programs throughout LA because of the profits from the 84 Olympics. So,
Wow.
Glenn, you got it exactly right. We've got all these incredible new facilities now, like Bank of California Stadium, SoFi Stadium. So everything we have for that we're going to need in 28 is pretty much already here. And on top of that, we've got this just insane roster of major sporting events over the next 8 years. We've got this year, MLS just announced Major League Soccer. They're going to have their All-Star game here next month.
Wow.
The Super Bowl is February 13th at SoFi Stadium. Next year, we're also going to have the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. We're really grateful to MLB, by the way, because it got canceled in 2020.
Right.
And they rescheduled it right away for 2022 at Dodger Stadium.
That's great.
23 College Football Playoff National Championship game, the PGA Open out at the LA Country Club.
There are other cities.
Apparently they're not.
No.
We try to share the wealth,
You
Anthony,
are,
but
Adam, it seems like Vegas is doing well with sports as well. But
absolutely.
LA is doing absolutely incredible with all of this. And a quick hotel industry putting things together thing.
Yeah.
In 1984, the Olympics was chaired by Peter Uberoth. His daughter, Lindsay Uberoth, is CEO of Preferred Hotels and Resorts. So
Really?
bringing it all together. Yeah.
I
Wow.
didn't know
That's
that.
cool.
Well, and since we're here during Alice, I mean, I think, it's probably appropriate to spend a few minutes on hotels, right? And this said as someone who spent almost 20 years on the hotel side of the business.
What did you do?
So I worked, originally started out in Chicago doing consulting work with Deloitte for Hyatt. I'm actually from Chicago originally.
Interesting.
From there, I was on property with both Club Med and Four Seasons. And then I was with Hilton for almost 20 years at the corporate office. My last gig with Hilton is I was responsible for the Hilton Honors customer loyalty program.
Really?
So
when was this?
So I was with Hilton from 1990 to 2009.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
And spent a lot of time. So I've been out in LA for almost 30 years now. I've lived in LA longer than anywhere else, and it's my adopted home.
So you go back to when Hilton had their corporate offices in Beverly Hills.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep. So it's been a while, but and it's been really interesting seeing kind of the continued consolidation in the industry and the growth of these mega brands. But the hotel community in LA, number one, I have to give them so much credit for the way they have really leaned in to support our community over the last year. I think you can probably tell this story in New York as well. Fred Dixon, my counterpart there, who's a great friend, all across the industry, the hotel community has really come together to support our community. And one of the things I love is Mayor Garcetti initiated something called Serving Our Community.
Right.
That was designed to provide meals for either the elderly who were shut in and were in need, those people who are lower income, or Angelinos experiencing homelessness. And really everyone rallied around this. So they used Levy and the LA Convention Center kitchens to do this, in addition to dozens of hotels throughout LA converted their kitchens and staff to providing those meals. And as of 2 months ago, Serving Our Community had provided over 3 million meals to Angelinos in need. That's our hotel community.
Yeah. It's hotel community was hit hard, but we were there from day one, whether it be New York and LA.
Yeah.
And you can hear the pride that you have in LA. And I remember in New York when somebody came out and said New York's dead, and then Jerry Seinfeld went all New York on his ass, and he's like, he said everything we wanted to say. It's like, you should not walk down our block tonight because that's wrong. New York is going to come back. New York's great. And people say all the time, "Oh, New York's terrible now, and the mayor there is terrible." And I'm not a fan of the mayor at all, and no one is. But New York is coming back, and New York's coming back because of hotels, because of it's a great destination. Tourism's coming back.
Yep.
So, in being in New York and listening to people starting to leave LA, and LA is not what it used to be, and all those things. How does that make you feel, and what are you doing outside of being extremely articulate and kind of what your plan is and what you guys are doing? Like, how does that make you feel, and like, what does the next 18 months look like?
Well, it reminds me of the old newspaper heading, reports of my demise are greatly exaggerated.
Right.
You know, people have said this about New York and LA any number of times. And honestly, you know, I'll tell you, Anthony, the thing that makes me nuts is over the last 18 months, I've heard people occasionally say, there's no playbook for this. There's absolutely a playbook for this. This is just order of magnitude. I mean, our industry has proven one of the most resilient time and time again. I mean, let's not forget the Great Recession, H1N1, SARS, 9/11. After every single time, travel and tourism has helped lead the way back. So the answer is same thing as New York. I mean, New York has incredible things going for it, like Broadway, like the arts and cultural scene, its culinary scene. We've got the same thing here in LA. So what we're finding is actually leisure travel has come back quicker than we had even anticipated. Yes. What we're seeing right now from Oxford Economics is that this year alone, we're going to hit 82% of 2019 visitor demand.
Wow.
And next year, it's going to be 92% of visitor demand. The big difference is going to be it's the mix of business. We know, right, that it's going to take longer for the international markets to come back. But when you're talking about getting to 92% of 2019 demand next year, I'm very optimistic about it. And honestly, part of the reason is the LA experience has actually gotten even better throughout the pandemic because it's accelerated the pace of some of these major capital improvements and new products. I mean, you're probably aware, and Glenn, you'll recall this from our last conversation. You know, we're all aware of some of the challenges at LAX. Well, LAX is in the middle of a $14 billion modernization project. That is the biggest public works project in the country, and they are now months ahead of schedule on a host of things.
Right.
So, you know, within the next 24 months, you're going to see things like an automated people mover to get you not only between gates, but also to get you to an off airport rent-a-car center.
That's cool.
You're also going to see a direct connect from Metro downtown. And on top of that, you've got these incredible new assets coming to LA. Like in September, the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures is going to be opening. That's going to be a massive draw. And the year after that, the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. So,
you know,
I might move to LA.
I know, right?
Okay, I'm going to quote you on that, Anthony.
So, but let me ask you the elephant in the room, right? In
Oh,
New York City, we've had issues with homelessness.
Sure.
You're having here in the county issues with homelessness, and we know what happens. One, we need to get people in safe environments for themselves. They got to be mental health issues, and we have to be very sensitive and take care of them. However, there seems to be an issue where people don't want to go into the facilities that are there for them, and there may not be enough of them. So what's going on? Because that's the one thing you hear in New York about LA is that they're having a homelessness problem, just like they are in New York.
Yeah, the first thing is, you know, I think we always have to talk about these issues. It doesn't do anyone any favors if we try and sweep that under the rug. I think every major urban center across the country is struggling with homelessness right now. And I think, Anthony, you're right. You know, the traditional solutions that have been tried have not proven to be effective. So there are a few things about it. One is we've seen an unprecedented level of investment now. So in the city's budget, Mayor Garcetti announced an additional $800 million this year, $800 million to support homelessness initiatives. And at the state level, it's $12 billion with a B to try and address homelessness.
That's a major effort.
But how much did they have last year, like 2 years ago? Was it the same amount? Was it less?
Well, there's always been a significant amount of money from both Measure H and Triple H, so the issue has been a combination of there is plenty of funding, but we need to find non-traditional solutions. And to find those non-traditional solutions, there is a new group. You may remember a gentleman named Miguel Santana. Miguel Santana is, you know, incredibly innovative and forward thinking about how to address traditional issues. He used to be the city administrative officer for the city of Los Angeles. He then left to head up the LA County Fair, and he has now left and formed a new group called the Committee for Greater LA. And really what Miguel Santana is proposing, and Mayor Garcetti and the LA County Board of Supervisors and the LA City Council are all locking arms on this, is a private-public approach to addressing homelessness. Because, you know, let's forget about tourism for a second. These are our fellow community members. So we have an obligation to do better and to help find the right solutions. Because you're right, Anthony, the things that have been tried have made a dent, but we need to find more radical solutions to address the issue. So this Committee for Greater LA now is incredibly well funded because of that investment of $18 billion at the state level, an additional $800 million at the city level. They're actually tapping the private industry community to say, look, you know, city government can only do so much. It needs to be a partnership between the private sector and the public sector. I think that's what's going to get us there. And if anyone can get everyone around the table to really tackle this, it's going to be Miguel Santana.
That's interesting, and hopefully that works. And same thing in New York. We're having the same issues, and they really got to bring business and also government together because, listen, it affects businesses.
Yes.
When you don't feel comfortable. Listen, there are two things. I always said when I was a kid, I used to go to Katz's Deli. My grandmother used to bring me, and I used to see homelessness. And I always said, "There, by the grace of God, go I." Yeah. So it always motivated me, and it was like it always scared me, but it made a big impact on me. But I know when you're coming into the city and you're seeing those encampments, people are talking about them, and that's something that will affect business long term. So it has to be a business and government correction, or it'll never get fixed.
Well, and I'm glad you talk about, you know, long term, because I think there's short term, long term. We know that long term, this is going to be a heavy lift, and we're going to have to come together as a community in the private and public sector to really find the right solution, because we want to take care of our community and we want to take care of Angelinos experiencing homelessness. But in the short term, there are some very practical things we can do. And that's something the city is very focused on through a host of city agencies. And it's really three things. It's about sanitation, it's about safety, it's about accessibility. So the thing they're very focused on right now is, in a very responsible way that still is respectful, making sure that our businesses are not negatively impacted, so that we really are doing a better job of cleaning up streets, so that there's accessibility to our public spaces and walkways, and really trying to move the encampments in a responsible way that allows our business community to really thrive. So I think they're doing the right things in the short term to support our local business community, including tourism. And then longer term, I think you're exactly right. It's that private-public approach that's going to get it done.
Yeah.
So you being a resident of LA, how are you living here?
How do I? Well, okay. So I mean, I've lived in Los Angeles for 15 years or 16 years. It was just over my 16-year anniversary. I love Los Angeles. For me, I mean, and then not only in that 16 years, 15 of those years as a concierge. So very much representing the city to travelers on a daily basis, as I like to say, on that sort of front lines of travel, as I like to refer to it as. But I mean, just in hearing, and I've been quiet because honestly, Adam, the way that you talk about everything, I'm literally getting chills. I have so much Los Angeles pride just hearing you talk about what's going on, why are decisions being made, what we can expect in the future. And there is this electricity to the city. It's different. It's not New York. We never have been. That's not what the point is. But there is something about Los Angeles that, as you mentioned, you can be whoever you want to be here. It's very inclusive. There are all these different neighborhoods. There's a little bit of space. Obviously, the weather.
They have good bagels.
We're not doing too bad in the bagel department, you know? Hey, well, by the way, which I remember at least like 10, 12 years ago when everybody was like, oh, the food scene in Los Angeles is horrible. And I was like, no, it's not. Just because we're super casual here, because it's just there's an air of casualness. So people are going to walk into a restaurant in a far more casual attire, but it doesn't mean that the food quality is any less. And I mean, you've seen certainly over the past 12 years or so, I mean, we're definitely making our mark in the culinary world.
I had the best sushi roll I've ever had last night. I don't know what it was.
What?
And it was whatever. There was a restaurant right here. It was a Japanese restaurant right here. Right, literally, actually near JW Marriott, right around the corner.
Yep.
And it may have been the best restaurant I've been in years. It was amazing. Everything I had was amazing.
there's a lot of great things about Los Angeles. And I mean, it's cool that you, again, it all depends on what you're looking for, but certainly it is that large city atmosphere. But I like that I can just walk out of my apartment, walk 10 minutes, and I'm hiking Runyon Canyon. And it's like, I've got views of the city, and it's so cool that you can do that here. I can go for a 30-40 minute drive and be in Malibu. I've been in Malibu twice over the past week, and it's been these special moments. So there's a lot to offer.
That's awesome. All right. So listen, we can go on and on and on talking about this, but before we start to head towards wrapping up, Sarah, you went through the effort of bringing up some news stories.
Okay,
maybe we could do one or two of those, and Adam, you could jump in and all of that kind of stuff as an expert in our business as well. But before you do that, we got a message from one of our viewers that the job for the Chicago CVB is open in case you want to move back over there.
You know what? With love and deference to my original hometown, I'm with Sarah. LA is my adoptive home, and as you can tell, I absolutely love LA.
Excellent.
So you know what that means?
Yeah.
Just make him an offer. That
do you have to
money
every time? Yeah, I was about to say every time you say I love LA, do you have to like throw Randy Newman a couple of bucks? How's that work?
Well, absolutely. And, given Randy Newman, I grew up with our kids listening to him on Toy Story and everything else. So I'm a big Randy Newman fan.
One of the most underappreciated artists of our
Thank
of our
you.
generation.
I agree.
He should be just as big as any other person that you know in music.
All right. So Sarah.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing at me?
Get us under control, Sarah. Bring us back in.
No, listen.
Kinda. Yeah.
Randy Newman is
it's
amazing. But it is a little funny.
So we want to talk a little bit about travel. What's going on?
Yeah, man. Let's do that, Sarah.
Yeah. Okay. So, a couple big things actually just came out yesterday for the White House. Please forgive me as I have some notes. I'm pretty knowledgeable, but notes are helpful. Yep. So the White House actually just came out yesterday saying that they are not going to be lifting any of the COVID-related travel restrictions anytime soon. In regards to the big hot topic is Europeans coming to the United States, and I know that that's been a huge thing. Even what Adam was talking about, that international travel demographic, not only in Los Angeles, but around the country, is a big thing. And it's heavily influences the travel industry. So,
but if they're vaccinated, why can't they come in?
That's a great question.
I'm glad you raised it, Sarah. Actually, I was just this past week at U.S. Travel's board meeting, and this was obviously a topic of some conversation. Because if you want to contextualize it, just for LA, for example, in 2019, we had about 31 million overnight visitors. We had 51 million total, but 31 million overnight guests. Of that, 7.5 million were international. So about 1 in 4. But they represent half of all overnight spending. So it's impossible to overstate how important that audience is. What I will say is I appreciate the fact that the administration is trying to take a science-driven approach to this. But what U.S. Travel is advocating, and we certainly agree, is exactly what you just said. We know the vaccines are highly effective, even against the Delta variant.
Right.
And we believe there's a way to effectively balance those two, where we should be able to reopen our borders to fully vaccinated travelers. And I think that's going to be critical to our national economic recovery. In fact, Sarah, you probably heard this, but the new Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo, who, by the way, is amazing. She is so commercially smart. She was the former governor of Rhode Island. She comes out of the investment banking side of the business. She understands ROI, and she is a huge proponent of tourism. And I was on a call, had the opportunity to listen to a call where she was speaking to a group of industry leaders, and she said there are really 3 things that are going to be critical to our nation's economic recovery. One is going to be the return of corporate business travel. 2 is going to be meetings and conventions, and 3rd is going to be reopening our borders and getting international visitation back. So, we applaud the science-based approach, but we do want to see the borders opened up for those who are vaccinated, especially air corridors between the U.S. and countries that have high rates of vaccination.
But you know what? And again, I appreciate everything you just said, but if you're saying you appreciate the science-based decision, then to me, that's not science-based, because we know that vaccines work. So if vaccines work, why aren't they using the science to say, let people who are vaccinated in the country? I don't get it.
Well, the other aspect is that, it's open to Americans. Americans can go to Europe. So where does it become the difference where I go and I spend 3 weeks going around Europe, going to different places, and then I come back.
It doesn't, because then you're de facto European in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Canada's opening its borders to us in a couple of weeks, but
August 9th.
we are not opening it to them. It's
I don't
just
understand
it's just strange.
It's
Yeah,
a
and
very
we're
strange
certainly pushing for that reciprocity.
Yeah.
So get on it, Adam. Let's go.
Yeah, come on, man.
We're gonna get on it.
Let's
Okay,
go
so
good.
a couple interesting things. Actually, this one I thought was humorous. Okay, so I figured we'd have a little bit of something a little bit more lighthearted, arguably. So in
Oh,
Australia,
we don't like comedy on this show.
No, clearly
Did I
not.
tell you about Randy Newman?
At least not
You
intentional.
have
Yeah,
told
right.
us extensively about Randy Newman. So for those that might be following what's going on in Australia, so what they've had a little bit of a rise in cases. So then they have re-implemented their quarantine, and they had a very strict quarantine for anybody that could even get into the country would have to quarantine in a hotel.
Right.
And they've re-implemented this.
Yeah, one of the things is they put your food down in front of your hotel room. You have to count to 30 before you're allowed to open it up and slide the food in.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Is that the
It's-
funny thing?
No, that's
no.
not the funny thing. So a guy came in and they had just changed it, and he had paperwork, and then he tried to get like a COVID test once he got there to be like, no, I'm like, please let me in. I have to get in. And in his first night in quarantine, he ended up escaping out of his hotel room. He actually took bed sheets and made a rope,
Like in a movie?
Yeah, and shimmied down the building.
And what did he shimmy? And what did and what happened? Did he get caught? Is he
He
arrested?
Did he have
did.
the
He
arm
got
strength to
good.
get back up?
No, because he ended up ran away, and like the police were looking after him. They were looking for him. They found him about 24 hours later. They tested him. He didn't have COVID, but he definitely got in a lot of trouble. But it's just going to show you people are going to extremes.
He realizes he's on an island surrounded by water, right?
Yes. Right?
He's going to swim to New Zealand.
You would think. So I don't know. I just thought that was like, okay, only now, like this is what's happening in the world. And then last little topic, actually, that I think Adam can probably even talk more about is that it's come out that Los Angeles is the second largest hotel construction pipeline market in the
Wow.
United States.
And what's the
Yeah.
first? Do you know?
New York.
Yeah.
Hey! All right, hey, it's
So,
okay.
hey, you know what I'll say is there is plenty of room in the sea for multiple amazing destinations.
This is
Right.
true.
You know, living in LA, we love going to New York. And, you know, I think the same can be said. You know, our single biggest feeder market domestically is New York and vice versa. So you're right, Sarah. I mean, we've been really fortunate. And I think this says a lot, going back to something you had said earlier, Anthony, about, you know, how much confidence to have people in LA. Well, I always look at developers. You know, if developers are still willing to move forward with projects, that tells you a lot.
Mhm.
So this year alone, we still have 17 projects in the pipeline just this year.
Mhm.
But I think if you really want to dimensionalize it, we know, and by the way, we don't look at stuff that is not at least in planning or pre-planning yet.
Right.
Until it's in planning, we don't believe it exists. So if you look at what's in construction or in planning or pre-planning, by the end of 2023, we will have added 3,000 rooms to our downtown hotel package.
My goodness.
And by the end
Yeah.
of 24, it'll be a total of 4,000 rooms to our downtown package.
Now,
So
Adam, in specifically with that, a lot of those are surrounding the convention center over there. I've been seeing those towers go up for the last couple of years.
yeah, it's interesting. The thing I love about it is it's everything from small boutique properties like the Proper, which is about 150 rooms, all the way up to, you know, an 850 room additional J-Dub tower that's going to have a connector directly to the convention center. But you've also got these gems all around LA. A great example, if you remember the old Fairmont Century Plaza, right? Century Plaza, that property is iconic. But if you think you know it, toss that out the window, because this cannot be called a renovation.
Did they level it?
They didn't level it,
gutted
but what
it.
they basically did is they totally reimagined it. And, you know, you'll appreciate this is from a development standpoint, they actually took over 100 rooms out of service so they could increase the footprint of the rest of the rooms.
Wow, that's
So they
a
actually
lot of
reduced
work.
the room count. And if you remember when you used to walk into that hotel, right, the escalator was right in the center of the lobby, which is not really where you want it. They moved it. So right now where you walk in, it's LA's only completely open air atrium. They actually have these beautiful glass windows that can completely open up, kind of reminiscent of Hawaii. And it is now this beautiful boutique luxury hotel, including a French brasserie. It's just going to be an amazing experience. That opens in September.
Wow. Well, let me say this. Alice is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. And back in the day, it started out at that Century Plaza Hotel.
Yep.
And it just became so popular that it was impossible to move around in there. It was so small. So then they moved it up, up to here.
And talking about popular, You do not want to go to a convention with Glenn Houseman.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is insanity. It is like, hey, Glenn, how are you? Hey, this is my friend Anthony. Yeah, okay. Glenn. Hey, Anthony, hold the camera. Can you take a picture with me and Glenn? It's like it's the Glenn show, and but it's we were with each other all day, and then I said, hey, I'm going to go freshen up. I'll meet you at the reception at whatever time. And he goes, all right, me too. What happened, Glenn?
I said hello to somebody, and then I said hello to like another 40 people, and it was like 4 hours later.
Yeah, so you literally never went back to your room until 11 o'clock last night.
I never went back to my room.
Yeah, he is a rock star.
Wow.
Yeah, yesterday's day was we started doing setup here at 7:30. I made it back to my room 11:30 or so, just talking the entire day. But then I didn't fall asleep last night.
Yeah,
so
when we first kind of got together, it was like, Glenn, you know Anthony? Now it's like, Anthony, you know Glenn?
That's too funny. All right, we're starting to get towards the end of our hour together today. So before we do that, Adam, I feel like we talked about all things LA, but is there anything that we missed? Anything that you need to get off your chest right now? Any admissions about the poor quality of your bagels or pizza?
And please don't mention the pizza's better, because we're gonna have a street fight right here.
All right,
live.
But let's if we're gonna talk pizza, Anthony, let's just acknowledge
Uh-oh.
there's no such thing as bad pizza. It's just different pizza.
Right.
So
I will say,
I love
Adam,
a New
There's
York
terrible
slice.
pizza.
Adam,
Yeah,
hold
it's
on.
still
What the hell? Take a microwave.
That food truck that we saw last night, right? That pizza was freaking great, but it's like a European
Oh, it was
style
good. It
thin
was
crust
good.
stuff. It was really good. Not
Right.
New York pizza. You can't even compare it. Totally different product. So you win on the loophole. On that.
Look, we can compare bagels, but New York pizza, there's nothing like a New York slice. However, I will tell you, it's very interesting. You talk about New York coming to LA. The daughter of one of the main artists in Run DMC and the daughter of Notorious B.I.G. are actually opening a pizza joint here in LA because they wanted a New York slice in Los Angeles.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
hope,
What are
maybe
they going to
hope.
call it? The like Notorious P.I.Z. or something?
That would be really good.
P-I-E.
That's
Oh,
perfect.
I like
So-
that.
So no, I mean anything to get off my chest. No, I mean I love talking
You know
to you
what?
guys
That
because
would
we
actually
managed
be
to
a
cover
great name.
Notorious P.I.Z.
CIE.
P.I.E. Oh, I like that even better.
Yeah.
So, the only thing I'll say is I think there's been, because it's the most populous county in the country,
Right.
took a much more measured approach to reopening. I think the biggest thing I would say is everyone needs to know that as of June 15th, LA is now fully open for business. Every sector, everything you love about LA is open, and we're continuing to put health and safety first, but also do it in a way that you can have a great experience. Because I think we've all over the last year, we've had some experiences that were very safe, that were not a hell of a lot of fun. So I think working with LA County Health, they've been terrific partners. They've helped us figure out how to do this in a way that it's safe, but also it's the same LA you know and love.
Right.
I did not know you were the most populous county in the country.
Yep.
Well,
Mhm.
that's why you have some challenges, like New York. It's like when you have a lot of people in a small space, you have problems.
Right.
So,
yeah, makes
Well,
sense.
it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And your bagel, you prove that your bagels are pretty good. So if you are in LA, go to, what's the name of the bagel place?
It's Pops in Culver
Go to
City.
Pops and get a everything bagel. I'm not a big fan of everything bagels.
That
That,
was a
one
good
I
one.
am. That was a
Yeah,
really
that
good
was
one.
really good.
Yeah, usually I like the garlic bagel, so no one talks to me for the rest of the day. It's great. It's
And-
delicious, and I get left alone.
Right. And just stay away from pizza. All right.
Yeah.
Just don't bring up
Sarah,
pizza.
any final thoughts? Plug yourself, all that kind of good
Oh
stuff.
my gosh. Well, first of all, it's great to be here. Finally,
I
so
know.
good to meet you in
person. Oh my
I know.
goodness.
Anthony and I had talked about doing a plank competition, but we're gonna have to save that for another time because
Yep.
sensitive elbows. Over here.
Yeah, Anthony was a little too
Whoa,
worried
let-
about the
No, but then
the
she goes,
flooring
"Oh,
here.
sensitive elbow." So she goes down to do the plank, and she gets up. She goes, "Oh, you're right." So come on.
Yeah, but to be fair, she was doing it at like 4-inch heels.
I
Well,
mean,
and the great thing, Anthony, this time you're here to defend yourself because last time it was just
Yeah.
Glenn and
Yeah.
Sarah, and
This is
at
true.
that and at that point, Glenn was claiming he was the best looking one on the podcast. So
That's true.
But this is what I don't understand, Sarah. We're
Oh,
friends, right?
we
How
are
many years?
friends.
How many years we're friends?
we've
Sarah?
been friends like at least 5-6 years. Okay.
So I am shorter than Sarah. So she comes in on heels and she looks down at me and she goes, "I'm wearing heels." Like, why was that necessary? I didn't come and say, "I'm wearing
that
socks."
You made a comment about me coming in, of course. Yeah, I knew that you didn't say, of course you're wearing heels, but you were thinking it.
No, I wasn't until I said it. No, I did say it. I said, of course you're wearing heels. You had to mention it. Okay.
Well, and in fairness, talk to Sarah at 10 p.m. after she's worn those heels all day at a trade show.
Yeah, if you'd like, we could compare blisters later on.
No, we don't
I
need
will.
to do that.
Yeah, I'm
We
doing a
don't.
commercial for Mephisto shoes.
Yeah.
If you don't have Mephisto shoes, you're not wearing the right shoes.
Oh.
What is happening right now?
Uh-oh. All right, so we'll be back tomorrow on our special focus on footwear. So join us for that episode. But I want to thank them for being here. And before everybody goes, remember, you like listening to the audio version of the podcast. You know, you're out walking the dog. Some of you might be out walking cats. I don't know. I don't judge. Whatever. You're in your car. You're doing their commute. Adam could have listened to a show on his incredible commute up here from Orange County. And they'll be doing it on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you like to get your podcast.
And if you are
Google
walking
Play.
a cat, I will judge you.
Yes. All right. If you want to reach out to Anthony, he's at Anthony Hotels. I, of course, am at Traveling Glenn. I want to thank everyone for being here today. Tomorrow, we'll be back with the franchising team over at Sonesta. We've been following this story as they've been growing by leaps and bounds. Well, the latest thing is now they're getting their franchising program up and running. We're going to go behind the scenes with 3 of the top executives, learn all about it. So we'll see you tomorrow. And remember,
Wait a second. Somebody just asked a great question.
Oh.
Where the hell's your book?
You want to know the actual? So it's literally going to formatting today.
Okay. All right.
And
when is
so hopefully within the next couple weeks, because it's at such the last final
it-
stage.
so
Oh,
where are
goodness.
you going to kind of?
I'll
announce
be.
it?
I'll announce it everywhere. Maybe
Okay.
I'll come back here and join you guys.
Yeah.
and we can talk about it.
I would love that.
We
No?
got to have a
No?
signing at the last bookstore.
Oh, 100%. That's going to happen.
The only thing
We'll do a
worthy of
signing.
reading that book is the forward. That's
The
it.
forward is
the only thing.
exceptionally written.
Unbelievable.
Who wrote it for you, Anthony?
Probably you. Probably you, Glenn.
Oh.
No, actually, I wrote it myself.
Nice.
Wait, hold on a second.
All right, uh-oh.
You know, people send me
Oh,
forwards
boy.
and say, "Hey, would you write my
Yeah.
forward?" Whatever. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
How long did it take me from getting the book to writing the forward?
Oh, I mean, it was quick.
It was 48 hours.
It was 48 hours.
Wow.
And not only that, but then you sent me the sweetest video message
Aw.
that like brought tears to my eyes. And you were just like, you were
I'm
moved.
excited about the book. I'm
I
excited.
am very excited too.
Yeah.
And truth be told, I have had to go through and actually format it all myself. I've actually redone all the graphics
Wow.
myself.
So you're going to do my book when
So,
I'm ready.
sure, I can't
Okay.
wait.
All right.
All right, so we'll get Sarah back on here when she has a book. And if you're hankering for a good read, well, why not just go
I'll
buy
promote-
the Adapters, written by Sean Worker and myself. We'll teach you all about adapting and innovating.
You
Buy
wrote the
that
book?
right now at Amazon.com.
You wrote the book?
Yeah, just to beat you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Come on, Anthony.
Anthony, did you do the forward for him too?
Well, no, he didn't ask me.
Not in 48 hours.
He didn't ask me.
Still waiting. All right, everybody. Remember, you got one life, so blaze on, and
Be kind to yourself.
see you all tomorrow. Thanks for being here.
And what don't you do, Sarah?
Oh, yes.